damaging Dembélé as PSG take the early lead in their semi-final tie versus Arsenal. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Players Zone YouTube channel, and we were treated to once again a fantastic tie in the Champions League last night. In the end, PSG running out 1-0 victors over Arsenal at the Emirates. A great atmosphere, a great intensity to the game, a real back and forth and real even affair. It's what we thought coming into this game. This would be the entertaining tie the other time, more of a tactical tie. But despite only having one goal in this game, boy, will we treated to some great football in this one here. As I said, PSG coming out on top in the first leg. They go into the second leg, the team on top and the team in the ascendancy. But don't rule Arsenal out. They were fantastic after the 20-minute mark until around the 60th to 70th minute in this game here, really taking charge of the game, keeping PSG on the back foot. But we'll talk about later on. But PSG, a team once again that showing maturity this season, knowing how to grind out tough moments in the game, knowing when to call on their key superstars to deliver the big moments, and knowing how to manage a game of football. They'll be kicking themselves they couldn't go and leave the Emirates with a 2 or 3 goal lead. Equally so Arsenal, they are not either equal with PSG or in the ascendancy after a few key chances. We'll go through the play-by-play breakdown of this one to get us kicked off here. And well, it starts with the opening goal, which for me, I loved watching it. It was a proper team goal, a proper footballing goal, this one here. Arsenal coming with the intensity early, pressing high up the pitch. Nuno Mendes, fantastic pass to break through the press, finding Ousmane Dembélé dropping into the hole. I said it in the pre-match build-up. He would be that sort of false start that can drop in short, but also spin in behind. He drops in short, picks that ball up, drives into a space. The Arsenal centre-backs unoccupied now, just dropping back and allowing the opportunity for Ousmane Dembélé to run into that free space. Looks to find Kvaratskhelia, and from there, we see why they signed the Georgian, why he's come across to Napoli, the danger he has. Running at Yuri and Timber, Declan Rice just magnetised that football, comes to help with the double team, leaving Ousmane Dembélé free on the edge of the area. The rest is history from there. A great strike, first time into the far corner to give PSG the opening lead in this game inside of 4 minutes. A fantastic start for PSG, but all in all, it just shows how good this team is. Without a number 9, Ousmane Dembélé has the freedom of the park to drop in and collect that ball in midfield. And it all starts with Nuno Mendes at the back, with under lots of pressure, 2 or 3 players coming at him. He plays that defence-splitting pass. He breaks apart the press with a great incisive pass into midfield. And then from there, I'm a bit disappointed with Declan Rice in this goal here. You've got to back in your fullback, Yuri and Timber, highly regarded as one of the top 5 right-backs in world football right now, closing down Kvaratskhelia, but the pressure that Georgian provides, the danger he has on both feet, he's magnetised, he's drawn to the ball to double team, and as the Georgian sees him come closer, plays that ball straight away, probably a little bit too rushed because on the bobble, and then from there, Ousmane Dembélé, clinical as ever, finding the bottom corner with that first time left-footed finish. It gave PSG the 1-0 lead inside of 4 minutes. They did deserve it with a fantastic team goal, and from there, they will continue to be on the front foot for at least the first quarter of an hour. There's a Doué having the next big chance, cutting in on his left foot, but a weak effort, allowing Raya to make that save in the 10th minute. A big chance came later on in the 14th minute, the second phase of the corner, a ball whipped in by Hakimi to Marquinhos, flicks the header on, but not enough power to get past David Raya. And to that point in time, Arsenal yet to have a shot on target, yet to have an attempt on goal. PSG, their 4th attempt to that point in time. They made the bright start. They took on the pressure which Arsenal provided and played through it and worked their way through it, and chances were coming aplenty in it. It was very reminiscent of how they took on Aston Villa at Villa Park. You've got to remember, they've gone through Liverpool in the round of 16, Aston Villa in the quarterfinals, and now Arsenal in the semi-finals. They've played 3 different types of English opponents on their home turf, managed them in big games, a penalty shootout versus Liverpool, grinding out the result versus Aston Villa, and now taking on a first leg versus Arsenal. Different styles of football, different types of intensities, but always the crowd heavily involved, the team wanting to make a good start, and it's always PSG who make the greater start versus these clubs here. So they knew what they had to do, and they did it from the start there. The Arsenal side starting to get back on the ball, a little bit more possession, a little bit more dangerous possession amongst the 20th minute mark there, and the chances started to come. However, the next biggest chance would probably due to Kvaratskhelia getting in behind the 26th minute. Once again, PSG looking much better in transition. They did it versus Aston Villa in that opening half in the second leg of the quarterfinal. Did it here in this chance here. Kvaratskhelia getting one-on-one with Jurrien Timber, getting the better of him, getting his shot on goal, but Timber doing enough to get a touch on the effort, directing the ball back into the path of Raya, and he made the save in the 26th minute. The next big chance again, PSG once more. Desiree Doué forcing a massive save from around the 31st minute. For me, this is one of the moments of the game, because if PSG score here, make it 2-0 on the half-hour mark, I think they run away with it. I think they make it 2 or 3 or even 4-0 in this game here. But the ball forced to Desiree Doué, an effort from cross from Ousmane Dembélé, deflected into his path. Quite fortunately, then he does his best work to get away from the defender and get his shot off to try and beat Raya at his near post. Raya, though, understanding the assignment, getting down low and making that key save. He was trying to wrong foot him, but Raya, very importantly, getting down low to his right-hand side to prevent the ball going under his arm and finding the back of the net. And as I said, that was probably the key moment, because after that, Arsenal built into the game. They got the momentum back. They had a lot of possession around the 20th to 25th minute mark, but their first real big chance would come around the 40th minute. The 37th minute, a last-ditch challenge from João Neves and denied Mikel Moreno a clear shooting opportunity inside the 6-yard box. A mistake from Achraf Hakimi slipping over, Jakob Kiwior getting on the ball, playing that ball across into the box to Mikel Moreno, who is, as we know, that goal-scoring threat. He took a little bit too long, ends up kicking the ground. João Neves cleaning up and getting that football and making sure Arsenal didn't have a clear-cut opportunity around the 37th minute there. Martinelli came close to getting a flick on the Bukayo Saka ball in the cross a few minutes after that. And then, for me, the best save of the game for Donnarumma. He had a lot of them, but probably the best save came on the 45th minute. Martinelli was played in behind Miles Lewis-Skelly, who was inverting into midfield, taking up dangerous positions, getting past the likes of Achraf Hakimi and Vitinha and company. Made a fantastic run, then slipped in Gabriel Martinelli one-on-one with the keeper, opened up his body to go to the far post, but Donnarumma outstretched, made a fantastic save. And once again, what we see a lot with Donnarumma, he makes these saves, but parries them or stops them into non-dangerous areas. A lot of keepers these days just parry them anywhere. Andre Nana, a key example of that, but Donnarumma gets down low, kills the ball off, no second opportunity for Arsenal players following in. And that was a big save going into half-time to make sure PSG went in 1-0. They could have been up 2-0, but in the end, 1-0 was the scoreline. Arsenal going into half-time, probably with the greater momentum, the greater belief, and they showed it coming into the second half. An early free kick, Declan Rice taking it, whipping it into the box, headed home by Mikel Moreno. Quite a fantastic celebration there as well, just standing there and receiving the applause from the Arsenal fans. However, it was chalked off for offside. Once again, Arsenal with another set-piece technique. They started behind the line, they ran back in to be onside, but in the end, Mikel Moreno didn't do enough to get back onside by the time Declan Rice whipped that ball into the area. So it meant that Arsenal equaliser was chalked off. However, they would continue to keep going forward. Leandro Trossard should have really scored in the 57th minute. A superb Declan Rice driving run. We didn't see much of it in this game here, but it was one of his rare occasions where he picked up the ball, got his head down, skipped past the initial Doué challenge. Hakimi tried to close down the space, but as Leandro Trossard played in behind, he was one-on-one with Donnarumma. And once again, he showed his best Courtois type replica with another fantastic reflex save down to his left-hand side, parried it around the post, once again not putting it back into a dangerous area, but getting it behind for a corner kick to keep the game at 1-0 in the 57th minute. From there on in, Arsenal will keep peppering away, not with many shots on goal, but resistant, keeping PSG locked in their own half, a lot more possession. But for the end of the game, it was PSG that would be the wasteful side. A big chance in the 78th minute. They won the 50-50, high up the pitch. Arsenal making the mistake. It was Bradley Barcola the ball fell to in around the box. Couldn't really get the ball out of his feet, setting up João Neves, who put his effort over the crossbar. And then the two massive chances towards the end of the game, both in the 84th and 85th minute, fall into Bradley Barcola. He was set up by a great flick around the corner by Gonzalo Ramos and somehow pulled his effort wide. And then the following minute later, Gonzalo Ramos missing the big chance of the game, the 85th minute, found him behind where he was one-on-one with David Raya and smashed his effort off the crossbar behind for a goal kick. They'll be ruining those missed opportunities. Arsenal with a few chances later on, but nothing clear-cut. And all in all, finishing 1-0 in this first leg here. Again, back and forth, momentum swings deluxe. But what matters most for PSG is when they were on top of the game, they made it count. They will be kicking themselves, right, going in 2 or 3 goals ahead into that second leg, because you think that's tie wrapped up. I think the massive chance for Bradley Barcola, he should be finishing that. And I tell you what, Desiree Doué will be kicking himself if he didn't make it 2-0 early in that first half as well. But in terms of PSG, they did their job. They went to the Emirates. They went to the away fixture where the pressure and the atmosphere was against them, but they made it count. And again, another really early goal. We've seen it a lot from this PSG side. They make it count early on. Aston Villa, Liverpool, and now Arsenal making it count in the early phases. And once again, Ousmane Dembélé, the clinical finisher. He has been a man possessed this season. 25 goal contributions from 25 games. I believe something like that, some sort of stat like that in 2025. It's been ridiculous. A goal contribution per game in the recent times. It's a contrast to what we saw last season where he was struggling for form, injured a lot, missing key moments in games and not being the clinical finisher that we know he is this season. And it's a real big difference as PSG side. I mentioned it in the preview and also in the podcast that will come out this week as well. You look at Luis Enrique and you see the interview he has with Ousmane Dembélé, with Kylian Mbappe, where he talks about leadership being about players that are commit back defensively, that might not impact the game directly with their goal scoring, but with their pressing, their energy, their intensity, their ability to win a tackle, make a block. And you can see that identity and that belief in this PSG side. Desiree Doué often backtracking back, closing down spaces. Jean Neves, for me, had a fantastic game, being that disruptor in midfield. Fabian Ruiz didn't have his best game, but contributed in terms of the build-up play and maintaining possession for PSG. Pacho had a few worrying moments, but when he was called into, was that physical player, blocked the ball off Donnarumma, the key moments. Marquinhos going forward, creating opportunities, nearly scoring himself. So everyone in this team, they might not have had a 10 out of 10 type performance. You see that in the match ratings, but they all contributed to winning. I think that's the Luis Enrique effect. He's got this PSG side looking so dangerous going forward, but committed to being a team, defending as 11, attacking as 11. And I tell you what, you can see that some of the defensive work they did, and then that team goal, the build. I said, one of the best goals I've seen this season. It'll probably get glossed over and all the other drama that happened in this game here. But that build-up, playing through the press initially with Nuno Mendes, Dembélé dropping in as the versatile centre forward, and that can drop into midfield, playing the pass to Kvaratskhelia, who looks up, drives at defenders and looks and finds the pass to Ousmane Dembélé, and then him to find the back of the net, a proper team goal. And we forget about this as well. Fabian Ruiz makes that run down the channel as well. That opens up the space for Kvaratskhelia to go through one-on-one with Yuri and Timber. A lot of team movement, a lot of great consistent play in the attacking third for PSG, and that's why they made it count. They look like the more coherent side, they look like the more together side right now. Not that Arsenal are not together, not that Arsenal have not been coherent, but PSG right now are on another level. Barcelona and PSG are looking at the two best teams in Europe, and they're likely going to get to the Champions League final because they're playing together, they're playing this telepathic wavelength, and they're making it count. They're both clinical sides, and they both defend super well. Looking at some of the stats from this game here, PSG, the 52% possession, the 1.16 XG, 11 shots, 2 big chances. Nothing to really separate the two sides. Arsenal, 48% possession, 1.63 XG. So slightly more of an XG there with 3 big chances. But obviously the difference being Donnarumma in this game here. Some of the other key stats around the ground, I think this sort of points to the main point I'm making here. PSG willing to defend, willing to scrap it out. 24 tackles to 14 of Arsenal. They made the 19 clearances as well. They were rugged in defence and they were putting their body in the line. And at times when Arsenal were all on top, PSG could struggle to get out, but you saw the structure and the shape they play with. They were committing their bodies. They were willing to run back and defend. Attackers dropping in. Desiree Doué on so many occasions I'm seeing on the edge of his own area or chasing Arsenal midfielders, putting them under pressure, not allowing Arsenal to progress through midfield very easily. And it's not often you see wingers and attackers do these type of things. Ousmane Dembélé dropping all the way to the halfway line to receive that ball from Nuno Mendes in the build-up to that first goal there as well. So it was a real committed effort to defenders one and attackers one in this game here. And simply put, that was the difference. And yes, they will be kicking themselves. They didn't put away more chances, but I tell you what, taking that advantage into the home leg at the Parc des Princes, you've got to be very happy if you're Luis Enrique and that PSG side. They I guess, fended off Arsenal when they're at their best, and they maximised the opportunities when they were at their best to create opportunities and score that important goal in this one here. When I looked at some of the heat maps and the way each side played, Arsenal heavily focused on that right-hand side. We saw how dominant Bukayo Saka was once he got into the game. grew into the game around the 30th minute mark, and from there on in, Arsenal continued to look for him in the final third. PSG, a more concerted effort to utilise the flanks, less of the midfield play, more to the wide areas. Khadija Kvaratskhelia, Desiree Doué, Ashraf Hakimi, Nuno Mendes often on the ball, driving the ball forward for PSG and avoiding the central area where Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard were and Mikel Moreno was. And they look to play in wide space. They believe they have the better talent in the wide areas, and I guess you have to agree with them. Ashraf Hakimi's looked like the player of the tournament in terms of defensive players so far. Ousmane Dembélé as a centre-forward can drift out wide and create that double up in wide spaces. We know what Khadija Kvaratskhelia is all about with his dangerous direct running, able to get his head up and assist a goal in this game here. And Desiree Doué, well, he's just been fantastic throughout, receiving the ball, tracking back, winning it and driving the ball forward. So there's a reason why PSG look into the wide spaces. They believe they've got the advantage in those areas there. You can see it by the heat map, so orientated into the wide spaces despite their great spine and midfield core. They're looking to attack wide and defend narrow, and that's a great avenue to a victory away from home, especially at such a dangerous side like Arsenal and at the Emirates in this one here. Some of the key players, undoubtedly Donnarumma goes home as probably your player of the match. 7.8 match rating, 5 saves with 1.23 goals prevented. Massive moments, as I said. That 45th minute save to deny Gabriel Martinelli was massive. It changes the momentum of the game if Martinelli scores. It gets Arsenal back in the game. The crowd back society, and they start the second half on fire and with belief. Massive save for the Italian who, as I said, he's sort of taking up the Courtois role in the Champions League, repetitively being the hero for his side with massive saves in massive moments. It just goes to show, if you want to go deep in the Champions League, as much as you have great attackers, you need to have a great goalkeeper to bail you out in key moments. There's way too many good sides with way too many good attackers in this competition to not have a good goalkeeper that's going to bail you out from time and time again. But 1.23 goals prevented in a game where you only score one and create only 2 big chances, that's your difference in the game. Arsenal created one more big chance. That one more big chance was prevented by Donnarumma and goal. So fantastic game from the Italian yet again in England. Continue to show that he hates the English in many regards. Marquinhos had the greatest match rating on SofaScore. He had the 8 match rating, 5 clearances, 2 blocks, 2 tackles. Only lost 2 duels in this game here, 2 key passes, the 96% pass accuracy. He was everywhere. He was a threat going forward, instigated the counter-attack at many opportunities as well. Looked long, looked short, had variabilities in his passing game, and looked like a leader on that pitch there. When PSG were under siege, he was making the big challenges, making the big blocks. Clearance is the key important times. Him and Hakimi getting that ball away from danger a lot of periods of time. It was more no-nonsense defending around and near the half-time mark there where PSG were just under siege and they just got rid of the ball. No need to overplay it up from the back. Something they did a lot versus Aston Villa in that second leg, and it's something they learnt from. Let's not overcomplicate it. Let's get it clear. Let's get our line reset. Let's get our structure reorganised, and let's defend from there. And they're willing to commit themselves to defending from that 30th minute to around the hour mark. A real strong 30-minute patch there for Arsenal of dominance. And PSG were fine to sit in. They were fine to hoof that ball clear and set back up defensively. And it just didn't allow Arsenal that ability to lock PSG in. Yes, they did have him in their own half, but they weren't able to lock PSG in their own box, get them penned in. And that's something that you can easily do at a Champions League home tie, but Arsenal were unable to do it because PSG were no nonsense. They were getting rid, and it was led by Marquinhos as centre-half at the back. And then for me, my personal player of the game, João Neves. He teed to the line for a red card throughout the whole game, but did his job to perfection. This is what João Neves is all about. This is what they paid the big money for the kid. 7.4 match rating. He made the 2 key passes, 88% pass accuracy. But for me, this is where I love his work. 7 out of 10 ground duels won, 6 tackles, 4 fouls. He got the yellow card. He was substituted off in the end, but boy, was he a pest in there. He was tackling players. He was pulling to the ground, hugging them. He was a physical beast, the ultimate disruptor. And in a game, as I said, when you're away from home, when it's tough to play at the Emirates against a Arsenal side that was rampant come the second half, he did what he did, and he did what he had to do to keep Arsenal at bay, to disrupt their flow, to make Martin Odegaard have a real poor game. Declan Rice limited his ability to drive the ball forward. That one time he got to drive the ball forward, they had probably one of their best chances of the game as he set up Leandro Trossard. But he couldn't do that because João Neves is there making the challenge. Vitinha's there to support. I think he had one of the great games in this one here. Super underrated, the ultimate disruptor. And players like this, the Casemiro's back when Real Madrid were dominating, what we saw last season with Real Madrid, the team, the gang defending with Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Valverde, and co. sitting in there and being rugged and being solid. The ability to disrupt a team's attacking football is so important in the Champions League, with how momentum swings, with how teams play at home. They get that confidence, they get that belief. If you can start the game when you need to, with players like João Neves making challenges, giving away fouls, it's what you need to be successful. And I think he was so pivotal to this result here, and playing that unselfish role of committing his body, committing yellow cards, committing fouls for the good of the team. Did a fantastic job of that. And obviously Ousmane Dembélé, the goal in this game here, a great finish. His 33rd of the season, just fantastic from the French superstar in this game here, which means PSG go into the second leg with that 1-0 lead. Do I believe they deserve it? I absolutely do think so. It was a 50-50 game, but they took their chances. One of the great team moves. Arsenal took a while to get warm, but we see what they've got there. Thomas Partey comes in the second leg. That allows Declan Rice to progress further forward. We get to see more of Declan Rice in and around the box, and that is a massive tick for Arsenal. That means Mika Moreno can go up and play centre forward, and all of a sudden Arsenal look like a much more dangerous side. I feel like they took some time to adjust to the reshaping and the restructuring, and that's why they only got going around the half-hour mark. So it's not tie over yet. It's going to be an uphill battle for Arsenal to go to the Parc des Princes and get going for minute 1. But they need to take what PSG did. That is the blueprint for this second leg here. Get going for minute 1. Take an early chance. Try and get PSG caught off guard, offset in the opening moments, and get this tie level. The earlier you get the tie level, the more you can play on your terms. You don't have to force the game, commit 2 numbers forward and leave holes at the back. If you can score in the opening 15, 20 minutes, you've got a level playing field. You've got 70 minutes to go and play some good football. That means you can be a little bit more pragmatic. You can try and get PSG on the counter-attack, and that's when the likes of Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard and Gabriel Martinelli can shine, because Gabriel Martinelli struggled in this game here, Martin Odegaard struggled in this game here, and Bukayo Saka really didn't get involved to the 30th minute mark. It was a slow burn for Arsenal, but once they got going, you saw the danger they could have. They pinned PSG in their own half. And another night, without the heroics Donnarumma, they could easily be in front going to the second leg. So they could have the belief going forward. PSG had the confidence of that scoreline. Arsenal have the confidence of that solid 30 to 35 minutes there where they were really in control of that football match. They have the talent, they have the quality, they can turn it around. And that's why we have got a mammoth tie in our hands come the second leg. It's going to be up to the key players yet again, though. Second leg, can Donnarumma live up to expectations yet again? Can you get the likes of Bradley Barcola and Desiree Doué more clinical in the final third if you're PSG? And how well can João Neves, Vitinha shut down Declan Rice as he goes into a more progressive role? And then for Arsenal, get Bukayo Saka involved more early in the game. Get him on the ball. Get him free in front of that front 3 there. Make him drift centrally, drift out wide left, or stay on the right. When he started drifting around the front line, that's when he looked most dangerous. Can you get Miles Lewis-Skelly on the ball more often as well? Once he started inverting, getting on the ball midfield, he was causing an outnumber which PSG couldn't shut down. So I think he's so important for this Arsenal side. Played very well, set up that massive chance for Martinelli when he inverted into midfield and played that ball in behind for Martinelli. So he's a key figure for this Arsenal side. And then undoubtedly it's Declan Rice, going into that more progressive role in the number 8, almost as a second number 10, progressing Arsenal forward, making big challenges, keeping PSG penned in, and using your physicality to just drive through challenges and get Arsenal going forward. We know his delivery is one of the best in world football right now. He has the confidence to score free kicks and be dangerous with deliveries into the box. Get him in and around the box, good things will happen. I just cannot wait for the second leg. It is advantage PSG, but by no means this tie over. I cannot wait for the second leg. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who was your player of the match? Do you think PSG deserve to be leading after the first leg? Let me know that in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, guys, smash a like and subscribe to the Players Zone channel for more videos like these. And press that post notification bell so you know we upload more videos, podcasts, reaction content here on the channel. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a great day. Enjoy tonight's Inter versus Barcelona second semi-final game. And I'll see you guys for the video or podcast very, very soon. Till next time, guys. See you later.